Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast. Happy New Year. It's 2023. Mac, I really can't believe that. And you know what's shocking about 2023? It's been hitting me hard.
Talk to me.
You and I are both going to turn 30, man.
Oh, why do we have to start with that?
I had to hit you with that right off the bat.
That's crazy. What a
Sounds
swing.
awful.
I mean, mine's like coming up in a hurry. You still have a little ways to go, but you know what's fascinating about 23 so far, KG? I went all of 22 football season. No ailments, no sicknesses. I get home from the Orange Bowl, and I feel like I got hit by a train. Like, I'm stuffy. I'm like snot just everywhere. This is gross. Everyone's looking at YouTube. You'll probably see that. But, yeah, super fun for me. I can't see my child. Like, I'm staying away from Amelia, which is terrible. It's brutal. But here we are, and we can, do this from afar, and I don't have to get you sick, who's also with child. So it's great.
Mac, I think it's impressive that you made it the whole football season without getting sick, because it had, like, you're on so many planes. Generally, during basketball, I get something around like February 20th. That's when it just something hits me, like the end of February. So I am very impressed, and I do want to ask just the overall snot. Levels. Are you or Amelia, who's producing more snot right now?
For sure, me right now, which is crazy.
Okay, got it.
That's absolutely crazy. Yeah. So knock on wood, she is not sniffly or no temperature, nothing like that yet. But like I said, staying away from.
Well, I just meant being a baby, because babies just have the flow coming out.
That probably will. That's probably still coming. She's probably still too young to do that, which is great.
Yes,
which is great.
I would agree. Well, Mac, this is a new year, as we've discussed. And we have a new sponsor. Would you like to tell our friends listening about this new sponsor? We are both very excited.
Yeah, KG, I'm jacked up about this. We have the great people over at Rock'em Socks joining the good fight here on Gramlich and McLean. And guys, this is what's so fun about this. 10,000 plus crazy designs of your favorite college team, NFL team, just entertainment. I'm a big Marvel guy. Kelly is not. So they have every Marvel sock you could ever think of. Pro leagues, other pro leagues. I mean, literally, you go to rockemsocks.com, anything that you can find, they have a sock for it. I have a couple others in the back. It says like Clemson Dad. There's some tools on it because, I love my tools. And then there's like tacos just all over the sock. So that's like my special sock right there. So anything you can ever think of, they have the socks for it. Go check them out right now.
That's right. And what we really like, and they're big into the sports world, they have socks from every ACC school. So whatever, and really every school in the country. If you're looking for any sort of sock, if you're looking for TCU Georgia socks because you're ready for this national championship.
Right.
Or you're looking for Florida State socks because you want to celebrate the Cheez-It Bowl. Or you're looking for Cheez-It socks. They can hook you up there. So Gramlich and McLean listeners can get 20% off their first order with the code GML20 at checkout. The code is GML20, and it's good for 20% off your first purchase with Rock'em Socks. Find your new lucky pair of socks for game day with Rock'em and get your feet in on the fun.
That's right.
I love their Twitter and their social media, Mac. They always say, they're like, New Year's resolution. Right. We're going to be nicer to people with boring socks. And then they tweet 5 minutes later and they're like, we failed. We can't do it. So there's no reason to have boring socks. There's just no reason.
Especially now that we're telling you about our great friends over at Rock'em. And what I'm really excited about this partnership, KG, we're going to be doing some cool giveaways. So you guys don't want to miss out. All over social media, Twitter, Instagram, we're giving away the coolest socks around. So you have to dive into that, be a part of it. We're going to be doing our ACC under review type of mini series coming up. We'll be giving away each team's socks for every episode. So y'all don't want to miss it. All the socks you can ever wish for. It's coming in hot.
Also, there may be some Gramlich and McLean socks. Okay, just going to put that out there. Today, we are here to discuss the winners of the ACC Bowl season. On Thursday, we will discuss the losers. So come back. If you're a fan of a loser, you can come back and listen here. But winners only today.
Brutal.
And the ACC overall, Mac, went 5-4 in bowl games, which compared to recent years, very, very good. And had some games that could have gone the other way, but a winning record. And specifically, I think the Florida State win, the Pitt win, the Duke win, those were really impressive. So before we dive into these winners, just your overall thoughts on the ACC's bowl season, Mac.
Yeah, I kind of had it penciled in there. 6-3 was what I expected. That was where I was like, okay, this is a really good scenario. This is how I see that shaking out. And then you have a couple of, sad, disappointing losses. NC State, I'm looking at you. Clemson, I'm staring you down. Those were two teams that I thought really had a good shot. And then probably the most impressive win of bowl season for us in the ACC, Pittsburgh. I mean, getting UCLA, the way that they did it, we'll jump into that here in a second, but really loved what I saw from them. Love what I saw from Louisville, kind of kicking off bowl season, one of the first games in the Scott Satterfield Bowl there with Cincinnati. Very impressed with kind of how they beat those guys down. So we'll talk about all of that, but I think a really good spot of where the ACC finished and a lot of excitement with the teams that did win going into 2023 here this next football season.
Well, let's start with that. I think the team that is causing the most excitement right now is Florida State. They beat Oklahoma 35-32 in the Cheez-It Bowl. This game was closer than you and I both thought, and I want to give absolute credit to Oklahoma for showing up, for wanting to be there as much as Florida State did, it seemed. And with Dylan Gabriel and his ability, I mean, he is a problem. And OU was missing 4 starters on the O-line, and they were still able to run the ball really well. And that's just kind of what Oklahoma does. Here's a crazy stat about this game, Mac. This game had 1,083 total yards of offense and 4 second-half lead changes. It was one of the best games of bowl season.
There's no question. I mean, it was something where, like you said, we were telling people to go spend their life savings. If you did that, I hope you got insurance. I'm sorry. That's on us.
Never listen to us.
Yeah, please. We're not very good. Well, Kelly is. I'm not.
We're over 500.
That's right. Take that for what it's worth. And so, man, I thought that FSU was just going to come out swinging, but you just can't take away from Coach Venables and the things that he can do when he has a month to prepare. And think of that familiarity. That's probably something that we didn't touch on enough. His days at Clemson, years at Clemson, going against Florida State, having played them, seen them. He played Jordan Travis, I think, 2 or 3 times, and then now sees them, for a 4th time in a bowl game. So very familiar with what they do. Now, that didn't quite matter for Jordan Travis because he went absolutely nuts, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, and was effective with his feet as well. But, man, you got to give them a ton of credit. And I was, to be honest, a little disappointed with the Florida State defense. I mean, the fact that Oklahoma ran it 60 times for 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, that is crazy. I did not think that after losing all those offensive linemen and losing their best running back that had so much of a percentage of their offense in running the football, that they would be able to do that. 2 100-yard rushers. I mean, that's crazy. It was a great effort. But when you turn this thing around, when you look at Jordan Travis, you look at those great wide receivers, running backs, Trayshawn Ward, it was great to see him, be healthy, get in the end zone a couple of times. Trey Benson, and then, of course, Jordan Travis running the football. You just can't not be excited about FSU and what they're going to look like in 23. We had this debate, and I want to ask you this real quick, KG, before we move on to the next team. Who's your preseason ACC player of the year? Is it Jordan Travis or is it Drake May? I mean, it's almost undeniable right now for me. Just the way that November, December went for Jordan Travis, I don't know how he's not going to be right up there, if not the guy.
Right. So I think it's Jordan Travis, and it's no disrespect to Drake May. There's 2 reasons here. Number 1, Drake May is losing Josh Downs, even though Drake May looked really good against Oregon, and we will get to that in our losers episode. North Carolina really surprised me with how they played Oregon. So you're losing Josh Downs. But then the second part is, and we see this in every sport, it is so hard to repeat, specifically as the player of the year in the league, because you're constantly compared to yourself last year. Whereas last year, or really this year, I should say, with Drake May, we didn't expect this from him. So it adds even more impressiveness because we did not expect this at all. We thought the player of the year would be Devin Leary or someone else. And so you add that part of it. That's why so many Heisman winners come out of nowhere, because it blows us away. Now Drake May is not going to come out of nowhere, and he's going to be extra scrutinized, and teams are going to watch film on him all spring and all summer. And with Jordan Travis, he isn't the reigning player of the year. And he had some moments this year, the 3 straight losses. He obviously finished strong, but I think we're still it's hard to compare him to last year, even though he had a great year, because he wasn't the ACC player of the year. It's a lot of pressure on Drake May to replicate and be even better. And I'm not sure how much better Drake May can be.
Right, exactly. So I'm with you with all of that. So we'll see. It's going to be a super fun debate. I mean, there's plenty to talk about this offseason, about the ACC, the excitement level for a couple of teams in particular, but just the overall quarterback play of this league again, is going to be one of the highest, if not the best in the entire country. And I think that, man, just to see how he handled this game, the throws that he made, it's airing it out, it's throwing dots, it's awkward sidearm throws, the leadership, the command of the offense where he sees press coverage, guy runs the wrong route, he goes right up to him afterward. He said, hey, listen, when we get this is what you're supposed to do. You didn't do that. Like, him having that full understanding makes me just so excited, for next year and truly seeing, Coach Norvell in this playbook be 100% open. I mean, as we saw this year, one of the most, if not the most explosive, offense in the country when it comes to big plays and the things that they were able to do. So a lot of hype for FSU. They're like the number one class in the transfer portal right now. They're adding a couple of really key pieces.
Always.
These guys are going to be legit, and I can't wait to have those discussions because that's what we need. I mean, from a ACC perspective, we need another team to really stand up and rise and not only push Clemson, but push other people across the country.
I mean, after that Orange Bowl, FSU could definitely be the favorite going into 23. We will, of course, get to more of that in the summer. I do want to say Johnny Wilson's
He's
name,
pretty good.
just because he was absurd. 8 catches for 202 yards. I mean, that was insane. And he's unguardable, Matt. Like, he's 6'7". He is unguardable. Throw him the rock. I'm really pumped about this FSU team. And also, I think I heard you make this point on TV. The fact that they got down and had to face some adversity and were able to come back against a team that Oklahoma had nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
FSU had a lot to lose in that game, and they're trying to win a bowl game for the first time in a long time and trying to get 10 wins and all that. And the way they were able to push through that and handle the expectations was impressive, and it gives me more confidence in them being able to handle the expectations for next year, even though they are going to be sky high, and that can be an uncomfortable situation sometimes.
Yeah, and I think
thought that was impressive.
I don't want to ever tell anybody to pump the brakes because it's your team, do whatever you want, but I do think, like, we don't need to be super unrealistic with the Noles. Like, it's still a process. There's still like
natty
I just
or
see
bust?
people on Twitter. I'm just like, man, just relax, because what you're inevitably going to do is undermine the success of that team. I mean, it could be a very, very good season. Everybody's going to be complaining and griping because it wasn't X. It takes some time to get to X, but I think they're well on their way. No question, Norvell is a genius, a really good coach, and I'm jacked up for the Noles. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Well, a team that I think is going to have some pretty high expectations next year as well is Pitt. And in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, they beat UCLA, number 18 UCLA, 37-35. I was so impressed with this win by Pittsburgh. They were with Nick Piatti, who we love. I just love saying his name. No Keaton Slovis. You have backup Nick Piatti. And, he was serviceable. He's 20 of 41 for 224, a touchdown and a pick. Rodney Hammond was really good. Noah Banacanda for Pitt, and no Zach Charbonnet for UCLA. So those guys almost cancel each other out in some ways if you don't have them. But the most impressive part about this whole game, besides maybe the field goal kicking, was Pitt's defense and picking off Dorian Thompson-Robinson 3 times.
Just putting him in really adverse situations. And, of course, my heart goes out for DTR, having the injury, and I'm not sure what the injury was, but
we hope he's okay.
He just looked in a lot of pain, and that stinks because we always talk about these high-profile guys playing in these games. Should you play? Should you not play? But Pitt really put him in a tough situation, and disguise stuff. That's what they do. They're bringing pressure, showing things off the edge, and man, just to see these young cats, from Pitt, that was really my biggest thing of what I wanted to see. Who's going to step up? With these big-time names out, when Haba doesn't play, when Kalijah Cansey doesn't play, when Deslin doesn't play, John Morgan doesn't play, who's going to be the guy? And seeing Deion Hayes was great. I think he's going to be a bona fide superstar next year. Seeing some of these linebackers, Elliot Donald, if you remember that name. The previous Donald was pretty good, maybe the best ever, at the defensive position with Aaron Donald. I'm pretty sure it's his nephew. But, just seeing the next wave of these young guys step up, it's exciting to see. And then, the seems like Ronnie Hammond Jr. is going to be the guy. And honestly, if he didn't get hurt that Tennessee game, does he have Izzy Abanikanda type year? Because he was the guy. in that game, and then he gets hurt.
I'm not sure how much Abanikanda still would have done a lot.
He was a starter. I just don't know. I don't know how much opportunity. When space and opportunity meet, are you ready? And that's where preparation comes. And Izzy certainly was. But I think there's certainly excitement there. If Vincent Davis sticks around, he was a guy a couple of years ago that had a very nice season. Does he get more in the rotation now that Izzy is moving on to the next level? So really impressed with what I saw from them. And then Nick Patty, I mean, how can you not be jacked up for a guy when he finally gets his moment, stays healthy? My goodness, last year in the Peach Bowl was supposed to be his moment, and he breaks his collarbone, diving into the end zone to do everything for his team, like the first drive. But it was cool to see the grit, the headness for him to understand situations at the end of the game where he picks up that massive first down, with his legs. So it was just cool to see, KG, him have that happen in this moment. Potentially, I assume he's still going to go in the transfer portal. Last game ever for Pitt. All that he did for that, university there was a cool way to see him go out on top. And like we said at the beginning of this episode, a massive win for the ACC to go out, basically go across the country and beat a top-ranked Pac-12 team in a game that everyone thought that you were going to lose, including us. It was cool to see them get that done.
Right, double-digit spread, just blown away by Pitt. 9 wins. And you bring up the Tennessee game from earlier in the season.
Yeah.
Had Tennessee on the ropes, could have gotten it done. And then it would have been a 10-win season. Tennessee probably wouldn't have been in the Orange Bowl to beat Clemson, but that's a whole other situation. And, when you look ahead, first of all, Nick Patty, and you and I both believe this, Nick Patty would have beaten Michigan State in the Peach Bowl last year if he had stayed healthy. Pitt would have won that game. They were going to win that game. And then so he gets kind of that revenge and is able to stay healthy and win a bowl game for Pitt. So that's such a cool story. Bringing in Phil Dracovic, bringing back Rodney Hammond, reloading on defense like Pitt always does. We've got Clemson and FSU. I think Pitt needs to be in that almost second tier, I would say, as we're discussing the ACC next year. And remember, no divisions. So if we had divisions next year, I would say, Pitt's going to win the Coastal, which you and I said this year.
Yeah, I think when you look at them and, it's kind of that sleeper team. It's kind of that team that, a lot of people were excited about this year, thinking that they could repeat with just all that they had, coming back on the offensive line, the defense, skill position-wise. And now it's going to kind of be under the radar where I don't think there's going to be a ton of expectation. But, kind of this year, I know they brought all 5 offensive linemen back. A lot of those guys got hurt throughout the year, so they had to get the next wave ready now. And to be able to do that, still get 9 wins is tremendous. So, yeah, I think Pitt's going to be in a really good spot. But Means, if he comes back, if these other receivers, decide, hey, let's take one more crack at this thing with Phil Dracovic, if he can jump into this system and really have just that balance, which we never saw at Boston College. It was either really, really pass heavy or Phil goes out, we're going to run the ball every play. So if there could be some kind of 50-50 there, I'm excited about Pitt. And I just think the culture they have in place, coaching, the development, it's one of the key programs at the ACC, no question.
And Dracovic has to stay healthy. That's always the key with Phil Dracovic. But he's hopefully going to be better protected than he was at BC. The other really impressive win was Duke in the Military Bowl. Duke 30, UCF 13. That was a Grambling guarantee. I told you, whoever they played, whatever bowl game it was, Duke was going to win. And they did just that in very impressive fashion. The offense was very good. Riley Leonard was solid. He passed for 173, rushed for 63 and 2 touchdowns. I was really impressed with Duke's defense. Duke's defense kept stepping up and making plays. They forced 2 turnovers. And I think that's really fitting for Mike Elko taking over as a defensive-minded guy, even though Duke's offense has been very good this year. But for the defense to be, to me, the main reason why they're able to really not blow out, because it was close-ish towards the end, but Duke made the score look very good for them. And
you sack them 6 times. You have 8 tackles for loss. I mean, it was very impressive. We hadn't really seen that maybe once all year from Duke. So to really be the kind of exclamation point there to win or finish the season, that was impressive. I mean, we've spoken about this Duke team so much. For them to have 9 wins, the way that they finished this season, the way that they were right there in every game, every loss, all 4 losses, 1-score losses, and had opportunities to win those games. Outside of the Kansas game, you thought that they were going to win each and every one of them. And that's crazy because they were getting, kind of killed by Georgia Tech and came racing back. So for me, the excitement level of this team next year, EJ Manuel has been really bullish on them in regards to kind of his sleeper team to win the conference. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's crazy at all. To
win the conference.
I don't know if he said win the conference. Man, I think if you can get Jalen Calhoun to come back, would be an extra seat, would be his COVID year. Some of these other guys have stepped up.
And maybe go get – I would love to see Duke, and I know you brought this up, Duke or UNC. Might be a little too late because I know the portal – a lot of the portal stuff has happened. But if you can go get some – like an exciting receiver from the portal for Riley Leonard.
And it's going to be interesting, and probably before I said this, I should have looked at what are the rules with transferring. But, after spring ball, when guys kind of find out where they are and if they're not happy, if there's another kind of transfer portal window.
You can. There's another portal, and the coaches hate it. The coaches are always – and I get that because you can go through spring ball with your team and then just say bye. That's kind of messed up. But now
we'll see. That. We'll see if Duke can go shopping, if they save some spots and, can find another high-quality receiver. That would be ideal for these guys. But a lot of excitement. They're going to lose some key guys with Dwayne Carter and Shaka Hayward. Shaka didn't play in this game. But other than that, look out. It's going to be fun to talk about Duke next season.
It is, no doubt about it. Okay, our last two winners here. The Gasparilla Bowl, Wake Forest beats Missouri 27-17. Sam Hartman was excellent. He was 23 of 36 for 283 touchdowns. He had a pick, but that's okay. A.T. Perry was A.T. Perrying, 11 catches for 116 yards. And I thought, again, Mac, the defense, Wake's defense, the final 5 drives for Missouri in the game, I think it was 2 punts and then 3 turnovers on downs. So Wake's defense really stepped up, and this was for Wake at 7-5, Missouri 6-6. Just the, SEC nonsense, which the SEC did not have a very good bowl season. Georgia
Georgia was the only team,
and of course Tennessee beat Clemson.
Season.
But
you know that, right?
Yeah, well, I think Tennessee cared. Those two, but still a big win for Wake. Mac, have you seen Sam Hartman say he's going to Notre Dame?
Let me tell you this. The news broke. I texted him and said, dude, super happy for you. Congratulations. And he said, thanks, man. Can't wait. There was no Notre Dame speculation. There was no talking about the Irish. But he didn't say, what are you talking about? So let's just say that. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay. No, and I believe it. But it's weird that you haven't seen anything from him or from Notre Dame, and then they get Buckner back in the bowl game and they win.
Look great. He didn't look great. Had like 6 pick sixes. I mean, he didn't. They won despite of him. But we're not going to talk about Notre Dame. We will give love to them next year because I do love Sam Hartman, but that is it. It's going to be very painful for me. Can't wait for that Death Valley game, buddy. Buckle up. That'll be a lot of fun. Maybe we'll have Sam come back on the podcast. That'll be cool.
Oh, yeah. And for the Wake Notre Dame game.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. Oh,
Mitch Griffiths. Let's see. He's coming, baby.
But I mean, this was a fantastic game. I mean, for Sam Hartman to eclipse history, now the all-time leading touchdown passer in the ACC ever. Really cool accomplishment for him to be able to do that, and just the way that they went out. I mean, he's such a great player, and that's why it's funny. I got a little bit of flack or heat, whatever you want to call it, for being excited. For Sam Hartman. But here's the deal. We all thought he was leaving college football. At the end of the day, I am a college football fan. I love the game. I love the sport. So for us to keep, that talent, a guy like that in our pool, for another year, I was jacked up and excited for him and the next step that he'll make. Listen, there was, no confusion about his intentions that this was his last year at Wake. Like, he has said that since July. Everybody knew that. And so I don't think there should be any ill will. I don't think there needs to be any, any of that stuff towards him. I mean, he gave his absolute all for Wake Forest, and for him to move on is just fine. But a lot to be excited for this team in the future. I was really, kind of wishing we would see a little Mitch Griffiths in this game just to kind of get a glimpse, of the future. But I know Wake was trying to win this game and fighting to win this game. But, man, you look at Jamal Banks, you look at Donovan Green, you look at Taylor Marin, all coming back, some other young cats, that'll take a next step at the wide receiver room. And we saw what Mitch looked like in that VMI game. I mean, it's going to be business as usual for Wake Forest. And I'm excited for next year for the Deeks and kind of this, new look. When the guy's been there so long, it is like, let's see somebody else. But it's going to be fun to see what Mitch can do in this offense.
Wake, Sam Hartman owes nothing to Wake. I think Sam Hartman has done so much for Wake and is obviously one of the greatest players, if not the greatest Wake Forest player of all time. And when you look at the records he set. And the main thing that if he is going to Notre Dame, which apparently he is, according to Mac and Sam's text conversations, the main thing I love is that he played in the bowl game. Even if he was going to transfer, even if perhaps he was talking with Notre Dame or whatever. I mean, we can't live in this fantasy world that guys aren't talking and looking at their options because you listen to do the same thing.
People that are tweeting at these kids, where's your loyalty? I can't believe you would do, and this isn't just a Sam specific thing. I can't believe you would do this.
Yeah.
If somebody called you at another company and said, hey, we're going to pay you double or not even that to come here, guess what you're going to do? You're going to leave. It's just business. Like, get used to it because this is where we are in the world right now. It's simple.
I'm pretty sure most people apply
before
for
they
a new
quit.
Job on company time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's just life. But I like that he played in the bowl game, gave it his all, and then decided to move on again, allegedly. I want to see someone put out something.
I should have been more direct about it. That's on me.
You should have said, Sam, can you repeat after me? Are you going to Wake Forest? Or are you going to Notre Dame? Yes or no? But still, good win for Wake Forest, definitely. Okay, our final bowl game here, the Fenway Bowl. This happened so long ago before Christmas, so just a little recap. But Louisville beat Cincinnati 24-7. Louisville looked like they actually wanted to be there. They ran all over Cincinnati. They ran for 49 carries for 287 yards. Maurice Turner, 31 carries for 160. And then you also had Jordan, who had 9 carries for 115. He had 2 touchdowns.
120 total yards is what Louisville gave up. I mean, that's brutal for anybody. I mean, the fact that they sacked them 7 times, 10 tackles for loss. I mean, this was a statement game for Louisville. Love the way they went out. Love that Yasir Abdullah and Monty Montgomery and Yaya Diaby were kind of the big 3 in regards to tackles, sacks, tackles for loss, getting their hands on the football, doing everything that they can. Guys that have given so much to this program and been a huge reason to why these guys were able to turn it around after having such a brutal start to finish with 8 wins. I mean, that's really impressive to see there. The future of Louisville in the very near future is going to be interesting. Just with this new coaching staff coming in, new quarterback. I think that surely there'll be a competition because Doman has won some games, and I think maybe he's earned that right for at least there to be a competition. But I think they feel really good about this young cat coming in of being the future, being the face, and a guy that was very highly recruited that stuck with Louisville, even with the change and could have went anywhere else in the country. So I'm very excited to see what that looks like. Defense is losing a lot of seniors, a lot of guys moving on to the next level. All 3 of those guys that I mentioned will be leaving as of right now, of what I've heard. It's going to be some different faces, but at the end of the day, I think that this staff coming in, I think you can't factor in enough how important an alumni coming home and what it means to them in the results that he's going to be able to get, hopefully quicker, but understanding that it will be an uphill battle.
And don't forget about Jack Plummer.
Yeah.
Jeff Brum's bringing in Plummer, who played for him at Purdue. He has 1 year of eligibility left. He's a grad transfer QB who was pretty good at Purdue and then went to Cal for a year and now is at Louisville. So that could be very interesting, Mac. I think Louisville is going to be one of the more interesting teams next year in the ACC. Those are our winners. Congrats to Florida State, Pitt, Duke, Wake, and Louisville. You guys represented the ACC very well in bowl season. We will talk. Yes, good job. We will talk about the losers in our next episode. It won't be all negative. Don't worry. There were definitely some positives. Right. UNC played really well. I think we do have to get into that Clemson-Tennessee game.
I'm interested in your takes. I'm interested to see. We'll probably naturally spend a little time there. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So that's it for the winners. On to the losers. Catch y'all next episode. Another great episode of Gramlich and Mac Lane. Appreciate you guys tuning in right here. Subscribe. Get in there. We need you guys on YouTube. Also go over to Apple Podcasts. Rate, review, subscribe there as well. Always fun to hear from you guys. But until next time, we'll see y'all.